In this video, we are going to go over a review of how to simplify adding and subtracting fractions. If you need an in-depth overview of why adding and subtracting fractions works and why you need to get a common denominator, check out my videos in my pre-algebra course in Chapter 5. You'll get tons of insight into that. So without further ado, let's jump into this. The instructions are to simplify. So we need to make sure we have a common denominator before we simplify. Once we do that, we then just either add or subtract the numerators and keep the denominator the same. That's it. Let's roll. So 4/5 plus -2/5. Essentially how I'm thinking of this is I've got a same common denominator of 5. So this is everything over 5, keeping the denominator, and then you're doing 4 plus a -2, which is just like doing 4 minus 2. And that is the same as 2/5. Not bad. There's your first problem. Okay, on to the second one. 5/3 minus 7/6. First things first, I notice that my denominators are not the same, so I need the least common denominator. Well, the least common denominator between these numbers, or the smallest number that 3 and 6 both go into evenly, would be 6. Well, I need to make this into a 6, so I multiply both the denominator by 2 and the numerator by 2 to make sure I haven't changed the fraction's value. 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 5 is 10. So you get 10/6, and then 7/6 stays the same because now that we have the same denominators, it's like having the same units. So we're keeping the denominator the same and adding or subtracting the numerators. 10 minus 7 is 3/6. And then remember that we can simplify fractions by reducing by dividing the numerator and denominator by the greatest common factor, or the GCF. So I'll divide the numerator and denominator by 3/3, and that will end up giving us 3 divided by 3 is 1/2, or 1/2. So that's done out a little bit more in detail than I'll be doing out in the later problems. All right, let's keep rolling. So I've got 6 plus 3/8. Well, 6 plus 3/8, we need a common denominator. Remember that 6 can be written as over 1. So the common denominator between 1 and 8, the smallest number 1 and 8 both go into, would be 8. So I'll multiply the numerator and denominator by 8 to get 6, well, to be over 8, but that's going to be 8 times 6 is 48/8 plus 3/8. Now some students will simplify that right away and be like, that's 6. Well, hold on, remember, you need the denominators to be the same. So 48 plus 3 is going to give us 51/8. Now that you're in Algebra 1, keep your answers in improper fractions. It's okay to write them as mixed numbers, but eventually as you get more and more advanced, you're going to want to make sure that your fractions are in improper form. Believe it or not, it's easier to work with. All right, 1/3 plus 4/5. How do we rock that? Well, we need a common denominator. The smallest number that those both go into, and I'm going to switch sides here, the smallest number that 3 and 5 both go into is 15. So to get 15, I'll just kind of start out by putting a 15 down here and a 15 down here. I would need to multiply 3 by 5, so I also have to multiply the numerator by 5. And to get 15 from 5, we'd have to multiply the denominator by 3 and the numerator by 3. 5 times 1 is 5/15. 4 times 3 is 12/15. 12 plus 5, or 12/15 plus 5/15 is 17/15. That's it. Sweet. Improper fraction, totally cool. Last but not least in this clip, and on the other side of this video, I'm going to go over 5 more problems for you. And again, it's just to make sure that it's a brief but thorough enough overview of addition, subtraction, or fractions. Here you have a mixed number minus a proper fraction. Remember that with mixed numbers, we can change them into improper fractions and should do that to complete addition or subtraction, or for that matter, multiplication or division. So to change a mixed number into an improper fraction, you multiply the unit's value, 2, by the denominator. So you multiply that, and then you add the 3, and that gets you your numerator out of 10. So 2 times 10 is 20, plus 3 is 23/10. And now from there, we've got minus 4/5. So now we've got a new problem, now that we've converted our mixed number into an improper fraction. So we now need a common denominator. 5 and 10 have the least common multiple, or least common denominator, of 10. So 23/10 is good, but 4/5 not so much. We want that out of tenths. To get that out of tenths, we multiply the 5 by 2, and of course, you've got to multiply the numerator by the same number. 2 times 4 is 8. Sweet. Now we've got an equivalent form of 4/5, which is 8 tenths. Now, subtract the numerators. 23 minus 8 is equal to 15 tenths, which, by the way, 10 and 15 share a common factor, a greatest one, of 5. So I'm going to divide top and bottom by 5 over 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. All right. On the flip side of the video, I've got 4 or 5 more fraction problems for you, just if you need that extra bit of practice, because we're going to be using fractions in plenty of the problems that we engage with in this course and beyond. See you on the flip side.